Welcome into the Casual Gaming Conversation. I'm Connor. That's Nick. This is your weekly gaming podcast from Ep.54. This week, you guys are getting back at us. You guys are sending us your hot takes after hearing us yap about our hot takes for months now. So we're going to go through your gaming hot takes, react to them, discuss them, have a fun conversation about them. Of course, we're going to give our own hot takes at the start of this, and then also end it with a drafting our favorite video game snacks. This is Nick's idea.
This was a heavily requested idea, by the way.
I'm not a gaming snacker over here. Like I don't do that often, but I do it sometimes. And there's only a few that I go to. Is the problem. So I'm going outside the box here and trying to speculate on what I would probably like outside of my go-tos. And I think I'm good to go. But it's going to be exciting. How are you doing today?
Today sucks, man. I'm not going to lie. No, today's been an amazing day. We've been shooting content since 9 a.m. We've been together hanging out. Had a great meeting. Shot the Q&A. A lot of TikToks. It's been a fun day originally we thought Connor's going to shoot Hot Pepper Gaming today. And I went to a bunch of stores yesterday, trying to find habanero peppers. Couldn't find it. We got what type of pepper is it?
Serrano.
We got a Serrano pepper.
Which I saw them do on Hot Pepper Gaming before. And let me just preface this real fast and explain, because what we're saying doesn't make any sense if you have no idea what Hot Pepper Gaming is. Hot Pepper Gaming is a YouTube channel that ran from like 2013 to 2016, where they would eat a hot pepper and then review a video game. And they got a bunch of content creators to participate in this and help out with them. And for Extra Life, we put on the thermometer for us to each do 2 of them. So we were trying to get habaneros yesterday. Nick went around to find some. I went
to 4 different places to find these peppers, and I've never had it in my entire life. I've gone and bought us hot peppers
for streams
so many times. I've never had it where I haven't been able to walk into a Kroger and grab habanero peppers. Most of the time, I can get 20 of them if I want them.
So he bought Serranos yesterday, and then Brady and I went to try to find habaneros from other places this morning. Also, we're out of them, so there seems to be some sort of habanero shortage. But I was like, they did a Serrano once on Hot Pepper Gaming early on, and it seemed pretty spicy. So like, I'll give it a go. I have a low tolerance for spice, so like I'm like, maybe it'll
still be fun content.
Yeah, it'll still be good. I don't want to half-ass it, but like I think it would still burn my mouth and make it difficult for me not to drink anything. So instead, I ate the hot pepper. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Like there was no spice to it whatsoever. So I was like, I'm not going to fake this. So I'm like, screw it. There's an international market 20 minutes away. I'm going to go swing by there. They have everything under the sun there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me go run in there, see if they have it. They did. They had every hot pepper under the sun. But I grabbed some habaneros. So we're good to go. And we're filming that after this because we want it to be the last thing we're filming, because I know that I don't handle spice well. It's going to really suck. So then I can go off and recover at home. 20-man fantasy draft tonight. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to take like 4 hours, but hopefully I'm good to go.
So another part of this, though, was initially, it's last night, and I tell Connor, I say, hey, I'm ready to do mine. I've written my notes on KH2. Mine is on KH2. Connor's doing Hollow Knight, and we'll each have one left. Brady still has to do 2 of these, and I think that is so fucking funny. That's going to be so much fun when Brady has to do these. But these were the games that we chose as our like first at-bats for these. And then Connor was like, oh, if we don't have habanero peppers, don't worry about it. I was like, okay, great, cool. So I like mentally stopped preparing for it. And then Connor was like, actually, I'm going to go and grab these. And I was like, so now I have to prepare for it? Because I want to do it. I want to get it out of the way. I've eaten many hot peppers, and I told Connor this on content, eating a hot pepper. Since 2021, I have not eaten a hot pepper and had to stay on camera. I've always been able to like go off, grab milk, grab water, whatever, and deal with it off camera. There's none of that. You just eat it, and then you have to review a video game.
It's 4 minutes of hell, apparently, based off of every video that they ever put out, which this channel is legendary. Go check them out. It's a lot of fun. We are totally stealing their idea, but hopefully it's just in honor of them that we would like. It's such a fun idea. So we wanted to do a couple of them, just kind of because.
And I mean, it was a charity goal too, we're doing it. We're putting ourselves in pain for helping out Cincinnati Children's Hospital. But I then go and pull my notes back out and make sure it's all good to go. Yeah. And then we are now back together. Here's the thing: Connor gets to fuck off after this podcast. I am going to upload the podcast real quick so we can process, and then I have to get dinner with a friend. I haven't seen this guy in a year since moving up here, and we finally scheduled it. And so now I thought content would end around 3:00 today. I'm going to be eating a hot pepper, melting my face off, and then I'm going to go and grab some McAllister's with a friend, which is a sandwich shop. Gonna suck.
I've never had McAllister's.
Never had McAllister's.
Yeah. How do you, is it? Do you get a hot sub from there? You get a cold sub?
I get a cold sub, which is it's not a sub, it's a sandwich. It's a sandwich
square.
like this.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, not enough food. It's never enough food. I get the McAllister Club. And it's a stacked sandwich. You think, oh, this is gonna be awesome. Here's the thing, not enough food, but delicious, really, really good sandwich. So it's the trade off. Like it's a better sandwich than you're gonna get at a fast food sub shop. Yeah, it's better than Jimmy Jam's. But yeah,
I doubt it.
But yeah, I'm very excited to go and grab food with him. I'm not excited to finish this podcast, but we have to finish this podcast because I have to go and grab food. But we have a bunch of time. We're going to be streaming the pod however long it takes. I did shoot him a message saying, hey, it's going to be longer than the original time that we decided on. Very excited. I'm just excited to be doing this again. It feels like we haven't been shooting this podcast
because the last time we
forever.
shot a podcast was before Extra Life. So getting into the housekeeping. Thank you so much for the support during Extra Life. We raised over $7,000 for Cincinnati Children's Hospital. You guys totally showed up and showed out. We had a ton of fun, just an amazing stream. A lot of shenanigans went down, a lot of wheel spins, a lot of shots, all for a great cause. So thank you guys so much for your generosity. Thank you for using us as a vehicle to do some good and help out our community. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it was a blast. One of the best streams we have done on this channel. And now it's all about Co-op 64 Day.
Yep.
We'll see you guys in 2025.
Begins. The countdown begins. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, exciting plans for you, but we're not talking about that today. Twitch streams Monday through Thursday, 7 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. I am continuing my Last of Us Grounded playthrough, just absolutely blazing through this game right now. If you need any more proof that I'm the best gamer at Co-op 64, look no further than the Last of Us Grounded streams. If Nick was doing these streams right now, he would still be in Boston, and I'm making my way almost to the halfway point of this game in 2 streams. All right, so Wednesday is me. Nick is playing Wind Waker on the Wii U, the HD version. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Brady and Nick are playing Super Mario Bros. 3. We're going to play Concord for one stream, and then back to Super Mario Bros. 3 is the loose plan right now.
We have a bunch of things in the background happening. We're trying to also make sure that our community night, when it happens for Fall Guys, that you guys have ample time to know about that, but that's not a conversation for this week.
Merch and Discord link in the link tree in the bio of our TikTok page, so go check those out if you'd like. Join the Discord for an amazing community of people. We got movie night tonight with the community on top of the draft. So I'm going to be one screen, 20-man fantasy football draft, other screen, Lightning McQueen.
Life is a highway, Connor.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So we're locked and loaded on that. You can join up in the Discord and participate in those kind of community nights. And then leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps people find the channel, people find the pod, and it helps the channel a lot.
Something we haven't said was we've hit a new peak on Apple Podcasts because that happened while I was on vacation. So we hit a new peak on the Apple Podcast charts, which is just a reminder. We are so humbled to do this. We can't fucking believe it still.
Seeing our name next to some of our heroes in podcasting, people that we've been listening to for
you over a decade, me close to it,
is really cool. So, and I think a big part of that might be the Apple Podcasts reviews and maybe helping more people find the show, which is awesome. But yeah, let's get into the hot takes proper before we get into your blazing hot takes. And let me just say, there's some crazy takes in here. But I'll kick it off this week. Let's hit this. Go off running. We're gonna kick it off. My gaming hot take for this week is that I think exclusives are a net positive. Even though as a consumer, it's really hard to see that sometimes. Some of my favorite games from the last few generations have been only made possible by them being exclusives. I think that if everything was third party, everything was coming to every console, there wouldn't be this incentive across the board for shorter, really tight AAA experiences in the single player space, and people would be chasing those multiplayer massive Fortnite games more so than they are now, because when you have the flexibility of a massive publisher being like, we need a game to push this console, Sony goes to Naughty Dog and they're like, great, we're going to make this super grounded zombie brutal story game, and that'll be what we put out. Or you get your God of Wars, you get your Halos, you get your Fables. And I think that those games probably would still exist, but to a lesser scope and to a lesser scale than they would if they weren't exclusives to consoles, and given that leeway to be something that is going to sell the console, but also not something that like is there in perpetuity and like a huge money maker like that of a massive multiplayer game like Fortnite. You know what I mean? So exclusives push the other company to try new things, innovate. I think Xbox games coming to PlayStation is cool for the consumer, but in the long run, it's going to really hurt Xbox. I don't want PlayStation to be doing it. I don't want Xbox to be doing it. I don't want Nintendo to be doing it. Stay in your own silos, make the case for your console, make me want an Xbox by putting out great single-player experiences for me to come want to buy an Xbox, or in this case, buy a PC and have Game Pass. And I think that we're moving in that opposite direction. It's really hard to see this and just be like, I want to be able to play everything. Everybody wants to be able to play everything. In a perfect world, everybody would be putting 100% effort in, and we would still be getting single player games, and there wouldn't be like this competition going on. But that's not the world we live in. We need to function within the parameters that are set in front of us. Exclusives are good for single player gamers getting high quality single player games. That's my take.
I don't discredit the take. I think that there's a lot of truth to it. With that being said, you know me, I'm on team time exclusives. Okay, that's what's important. Give me a reason to get your system right away as somebody that plays games right when they come out and wants that hype and initial wow factor and wants to be part of that discussion. That's the important part when it comes to an exclusive. At a certain point, you're not getting any new players in, so go and toss it wherever. But I do understand that it's an important thing to have. That's what's going to sell consoles. That's what's going to build brand awareness. I think that that's something that Xbox has been struggling with recently, but I'm excited for the slate that they have coming up with all the games that they showed off in the showcase this past year. But yeah, the way you get me excited about games is, or your platform is having those good exclusive games, and they need to be great. It's all about the games when it comes to exclusivity. I don't care if it's exclusive if it's not great. So come out with great exclusives, and that will get me stoked.
And here's the thing about all of this as well. When people talk about consoles and like their place in history, they're talking about the fucking exclusives. The PS4 is the exclusives. The PS3 is the exclusives. The NES, the SNES are the games that were on that console. Those are the games that people talk about when they talk about why a console is great.
I do disagree when it comes to the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation. The reason that those consoles are great is all of the games that came out on it.
Call of Duty.
I mean, Mass Effect, BioShock. There's
Mass
Batman.
Effect was an exclusive. BioShock was an exclusive.
They both of them
were?
Yeah, okay. They were, but I'm talking about when it comes to the focused conversation.
When I talk about the PlayStation 3, I talk about Uncharted, I talk about The Last of Us, I talk about Infamous, I talk about Resistance, Killzone, Little Big Planet. Like that's the console.
But when you think of that generation, you also do think of Call of Duty.
When you talk about the Xbox 360, you talk about Halo 3, and you talk about Fable. You talk about Forza, Gears of War. Like that's what people are talking about.
I mean, but the greatness of that generation came through multi-party, third-party games.
When you talk about the Xbox One, what do you talk about? Nothing, because there's no good exclusives on there. There's Sunset Overdrive, and that's it.
I'm saying literally
but then
only
you talk
for this
about
generation.
So you remove the okay, but I'm just saying you remove the exclusives from the equation and just talk about third party stuff. There's just the Xbox One generation just is not that great.
Oh, I understand, and that's fine to discuss.
Because then the reason we talk about the PS4 being so great is because of the exclusives.
I understand where exclusives, because the best games in that generation were exclusives.
Other than
I'm saying that
Red Dead Redemption 2 and The Witcher 3.
I'm saying that some of the games, and I mean
Dark Souls.
There's a handful that you can go to.
Yeah,
so that's why when it comes to the discussion aspect of it, like especially with the PS3, Xbox 360 generation, I like to have that discussion of what is the overarching console. That's why they're A-tier consoles to me. Is I'm like, all the games there all across the board are fucking dope. Yeah. So, all right, you excited for my hot take?
Yeah, always.
This might be one of the craziest hot takes we ever say on this channel. And here's the thing: it's not even like I'm saying something is better than something else. Because my video game hot take for this week is that the Joy-Cons are as good as the Pro Controller for the Nintendo Switch. I am somebody that likes leisure. I like to sit back and relax, everyone. And I was having a great time this previous weekend playing Mario Odyssey, arms stretched wide, got a blanket under me with these two Joy-Cons in my hand. I don't want to be concealed to having a controller right like close up to my body. I want to be able to go and spread out. If I want to go and snuggle with someone, arm around the side, I'm still playing Switch, baby. It's a great time. The issue with the Pro Controller is just that notion that like it's tight, you're not as free form. But Joy-Cons minus the drift are, I think, brilliant controllers. The fact that you can actually play with two people is a benefit to it. I said as good. I said as good. I did not say better. I love the Joy-Cons. I think that they're extremely amazing controllers. If you take out the drift, it is one of the best controllers out there because it's also two controllers and you get that spread effect, Connor. I love the Joy-Cons.
I'm not going to argue this. The Joy-Cons are considered by many and myself to be some of the worst controllers ever made in the history of video games, and the Pro Controller is considered top 5 by plenty of people.
I love the Pro Controller. Pro Controller is great.
I don't know what you mean by this is constrained. What do you mean?
Connor, if you're next to your lovely wife and you want to put the arm around her to snuggle up a little bit, you could do that with the Joy-Con. You can't be doing that with the Pro Controller.
That's such a specific situation.
But also, I'm just hanging out. I'm single, so I'm just hanging out.
I also don't want to play a game like that.
I'm hanging out on the couch in a weird-ass position. Like, my legs are up to the side. I got a controller almost touching the ground. I got a controller on my chest. I'm having a great time playing Mario. That's how it needs to be. Let me play how I want to play, and the Joy-Cons let me play how I want to play.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with this at all. The buttons are tiny and
they're big enough.
Dainty.
Connor, they might be small to you, but that's pretty big to me.
All right. Let's get into reacting to your video game hot takes. The video game hot take extravaganza, I would like to call this. Kicking it off. DLCs, remakes, and remasters shouldn't be nominated for Game of the Year. It's totally fine to recognize that some of the titles that come out as such are unbelievably perfect. Unbelievably perfect. But it's very unfair when the industry doesn't award creativity anymore. Even being a 90% different game from what the reference main game was, it's still benefiting from nostalgia, affinity, and love for the IP, character, or universe. Most devs and studios choose to do extra content and remaking old games because it's a guaranteed sale. No bad game was ever awarded a remake or remaster, and DLCs for bad games are extremely rare. When one of these games or content is nominated for Game of the Year, I feel like it's a disservice to the studios that chose to take a risk in order to push the industry forward. Give them separate awards and reward and support new ideas for ideas to a max. Uli here. That's from Uli.
Oh, dude, I'm about to tee me up, dude. Connor, put the ball up. I'm about to. Oh man.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with this take. Personally.
You completely agree?
Yeah.
With remakes and remasters,
I think you could have a separate category probably.
Okay, so this is why that I completely
for the Game Awards.
I understand. We're talking about the Game Awards. This is why this, in my opinion, makes no sense, and it comes down to what a studio is doing. Certain DLCs could just be called sequels. They could, and that
but they're benefiting from the original game.
Okay, so then no sequels should be able to go and get nominated either. If we want to just go and really push who's doing the new cool shit, it has to be something brand fucking new. And there's nothing really brand new nowadays. So I'm okay with nominating and awarding something that is amazing and new. Like that's it's still new.
I'm not going to argue what the difference between a remake and a sequel is.
I understand, but
there's a clear difference, and I know that you're benefiting. They're both benefiting technically, but one is definitely benefiting more than the other.
Is it though?
Elden Ring DLC is literally in the Elden Ring game. You know what I mean? Like it's already
on
benefiting
a completely different map. Completely different map.
But it's in it. It's still in it. It's benefiting from the love and bones of Elden Ring.
If it was called Elden Ring 2, is that fine to nominate it? Because it's 40 hours of fucking content.
But it wouldn't be connected. And if it was that way, people would not talk about it.
So then Dark Souls 3 shouldn't be, because it's or not Dark Souls 3 or Spider-Man 2 shouldn't get nominated or anything that is connected to any previous
Spider-Man 2
fucking
shouldn't get nominated because it's not
ever.
very good.
We can't have this conversation go both ways. If you are saying that building off of something,
is it a knock? Is it a knock on Spider-Man 2 that it is in the same world and that makes it feel worse?
If
It's
it
in, like,
makes
the
it
same
feel,
environment.
worse and it's a worse game because of it, sure, that's fine. But if we're talking about the quality of the game itself, that is all that fucking matters when you're talking about the Game of the Year nomination.
No, that's not all that
4?
matters. You're talking about honoring the new games from that year, and DLC is often not a new game from that year. Cyberpunk 2077 was my third favorite game that came out last year, but it's my personal list. It doesn't really fucking matter. If Cyberpunk 2077 was nominated last year, I would be groaning, and if it won last year, I'd be flipping a table. And this year, Shout of the Erd Tree, if it gets nominated, will probably win because its biggest competitor was probably Black Myth Wukong for a lot of people, and that doesn't seem to be delivering the goods at the level that we thought it was going to. And so, like, if it wins, I'm going to be so annoyed. Just give it a best DLC category and move on.
So
honor the new interesting stuff that came out this year.
It has a similar world to Astro's Playroom.
It's gonna take away from the honor of Astrobot, which would probably win Game of the Year this year, and that's fucking annoying.
I still, if I were to go and power rank it, I do think Astrobot is still the front runner on this year of what we expect that game to be.
I fundamentally disagree if we're talking the way that people talk about quality. Like if people already fucking loved Elden Ring, and then they got more Elden Ring.
I understand.
And it already won a Game of the Year. Like, why does it need to be honored again?
It's not about should we just then we shouldn't honor like recognize any studio second game. We shouldn't.
Nick, I disagree with this line of thinking fundamentally. A sequel is different than a DLC.
God of War Ragnarok has so many similar areas in fighting mechanics, and
it's a worse game because of it.
Is it all the people that say that Tears of the Kingdom because it uses the same fucking map is shouldn't win Game of the Year because it's a DLC? That's bogus.
I think that is a major knock on the game. Yes,
it's a major knock on the game. That's fine, but that doesn't mean that it's a worse game and it shouldn't be nominated. It is just a worse game in your opinion. That's fine if you think that's a worse video game, but it's not about.
But it's still different. A new sequel that reuses assets and is still a sequel is different than a DLC that is literally built inside or on top of a game that's already.
Tears of the Kingdom is built off of.
They should have called then they should have called it Elden Ring too if they really want this nomination. That's what I'm saying.
That's totally fine for that to be your opinion, but the way that the Game Awards works,
and I'm saying it's lame.
That's a fine thing to say.
This is arbitrary at the end of the day. Like, it's semantics. Like, we're just talking in circles about feeling on like not liking things and liking things. In my opinion, I don't like this. I want them to honor, like Uli is saying, I want them to honor the new and innovative titles from this year. I like Metaphor and Astrobot or Helldivers 2, like stuff that people you're in an uphill battle already with it.
I understand, but the thing is there's a lot of people like you that are on these panels that decide that make that choice for themselves.
I disagree. I mean, like we got nominations for Cyberpunk last year. It's not like
exactly.
It's not like there's a huge bias towards this. I think you're going to get what you want, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying that once again, I want to make this very clear. I do not hope the Shadow of the Erd Tree wins Game of the Year. I don't want it to be
nominated.
I think it deserves to be nominated. Because it's 40 hours of brand fucking new content with over 10 new bosses. That is more content than almost any other game is delivering when it comes to the quality and the amount of content this year. That deserves to be recognized. 100%.
Yeah, but give it best DLC. What's wrong with that?
If there was a category for it.
Okay, so if there's a category for best DLC, then we just eliminate it and then you're fine.
Yeah, but that's a different award show.
So why can't we do that?
Jeff Gilead and the team does not want that yet, because you want to know why? There's not enough good DLCs, and so they go and they. I mean, it's allowed to be
that, but that's not the other game's problem, in my opinion.
It's not Elden Ring's. It's not Elden Ring's fault that it's going in an award show. Do you want it to be less good? Like, Elden Ring's going to be fucking dope as shit.
I want there to be an award for DLC, and if there's not, then it shouldn't be nominated. Why?
Well, because those are the rules. I don't make the fucking rules.
I'm not arguing about the semantics of the Game Awards. I'm just arguing about the idea that if the Game Awards should be
if it's the end all be all, if the Game Awards is the end all be all of what the Game of the Year discussion is, you have to recognize the rules. That's like going and saying that.
I'm saying they should change the rules.
That's fine. What you're saying feels like the people when UCF, the football school down in Florida that went undefeated that season and then didn't go to the national championship because of the way that the rankings work, and then we're going and saying we're just the national champions anyways. That's what it feels like. You're like, oh, the rules that are in place of this thing that we all appreciate and enjoy, I don't want to recognize those rules. It's like, no, these are the fucking rules.
They are the rules, and I'm saying that they should change the rules. I'm not. It's not that I don't recognize them. I understand the parameters that we are currently at, and it does not disqualify a DLC from winning Game of the Year. I just think it's fucking stupid.
I do have a certain question for you. Elden Ring's DLC. Well, you're similar with Cyberpunk. What if it wasn't Elden Ring DLC? What if, example, it is Last of Us Factions comes out, and it's part of The Last of Us Part 2, but it's Last of Us Factions. It is 200 plus hours of fucking content. It is, you can play it till the cats come home.
So it's like Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer mode.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying? So it like releases after and it's a multiplayer mode.
Yeah, but it's
if Ghost of Tsushima's multiplayer mode got nominated, that would be the stupidest fucking. No, I'm not. But
I
would be so annoyed by that.
I'm talking about more, even more separated, but even better. Like, we're talking about the apex of fucking gaming here.
You're just making up situations now.
I understand,
that, like,
but Elden Ring's DLC is legitimately. Like, it's one of
I know
the
it's
best,
great.
Yeah.
It's just taking away from original ideas or completely ground up new games.
So original ideas is the thing that's bothering me right now, because this whole DLC is completely original ideas. It's working within a world, but those worlds are established and rules are established for any sequel fucking ever. So we need to go in and recognize and say, okay, if we just don't like it, that's fine. But we can't go and say that this is a schmuck award when the rules have been established and then something is good enough. It is good enough to get nominated. That's why I want to get nominated.
Yeah.
If it is one of the best 6 releases of the year.
Of course it's good enough because it's a fucking DLC for a Game of the Year
but no, it could
winner.
have sucked. There is a chance that Elden Ring, because it's not just the core gameplay. It is the fact that exploration is completely new in this game. That it is a different mode of how you gain stats and everything. That is a completely new progression system. That is different than a lot of sequels. That's more different than Spider-Man 2's.
Is it not gonna suck the air out of the room if that wins?
I don't want it to win.
I know, but I'm just saying, if it does win, and if it gets nominated, I think it is a good shot of winning.
If it does win,
it's gonna suck, and everybody's gonna groan, and everybody's gonna be annoyed.
Here's the thing.
And if that's the case, if that's a possibility, it shouldn't be nominated. If it sucks for literally everybody,
I don't think it'll suck for everyone.
Nobody will be stoked.
All the people that as someone that really fucking loves this game and like, I do think that this is deserving of a nomination. It would suck because, yeah, I do think that there's better fucking titles this year. And also, I've said this before, when we're doing our Game of the Year discussion at the end of the year, I'm going to give Tekken 8 the nod over it because I do believe that doing something original and unique is important. And that is more important to me than a DLC. It does get a little bit of a knock against it because it is a DLC. But even with the knock against it, it still deserves to be one of the top 6 games this year. It's my number 3 right now. Like, that's a important thing behind Tekken 8 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
I'm not saying my top 3 right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't really even know for sure.
Yeah.
Next one from Alex Dinky. I feel like graphics have peaked in games, and the games will always be about gameplay first and graphics second. For example, the Nintendo Switch is as powerful as the PS3, but still releases high quality and fun games you can play alone or with friends online or on the couch, like Mario Wonder, Splatoon 3, or all the mainline Pikmin games. They don't look as impressive as they would be on a PS5 or PC, but are still worth it for the hours of fun you'll have. And we have games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Last of Us Part 1 Remake, and Part 2 that look jaw-dropping, but I feel like the main reason is to ogle at the world that Rockstar and Naughty Dog built, respectively. I agree with this for the most part.
Yeah,
like,
same.
I think that games, like, visuals do matter. I don't think that PS3 level visuals, like on the Switch, which I would argue that they're not PS3 level visuals. I think we're getting closer just by them being stylized to PS4 level visuals, even if the hardware is closer to the former.
PS3.
But I don't think games need to look better at all.
Yeah.
I think games look great nowadays, and The Last of Us Part 2 and Red Dead Redemption 2, I would disagree that the only reason people like those games is because they're technical marvels. I think they have great aspects outside of that. So
I mean, I'm a sucker for some team doing something really impressive when it comes to technology. I love seeing really cool tech and really well polished graphics and frame rate being great. I do like when frame rate's awesome and ray tracing's in the game. I think that Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, an immensely impressive game. And like for me, I'm like, that's when you got like cool ass art style that is a little bit more kiddie
Cartoony.
and child cartoony, perfect word. Yeah, and when you like, that's what you could do if you had the power for Nintendo. They could do something that's like, can you imagine Tears of the Kingdom with ray tracing? Like that'd be dope as shit. But that's not important. What makes Tears of the Kingdom one of the best games ever is that it's one of the best games ever. It's not about the graphics. It's not about it's got a terrific art style and they're able to utilize and get around it. And honestly, it's almost like, hey, we're gonna make it a little bit more difficult for you on the power, but that makes it more creative. These teams have to get really creative to be impressive. And so, yeah, I think that it's a completely fine take. I'm excited for the Switch too because I would love these creative ass teams over on Nintendo to be able to make even more creative ass games. But I do agree with a lot of this take. I like it.
I would say that I appreciate the assertion that like gameplay is where innovation is going to come from. Like from generation to generation, all people could talk about was, oh, the games look so much better on PS4 than they did on PS3. And then now that from PS4 to PS5, it's like they look better, obviously, but they don't look that much better that it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm blown away by the visuals. Like Uncharted 4 and The Last of Us Part 2 and Red Dead Redemption 2 look insane, and it's just not going to get that much better than that. And people are like, well, we said that for years. We said that it's not going to get much better than the PS2. It's like there was clearly
a step
route
up
to go here. Like now the route is not clear at all, in my opinion. So
I just recently rewatched the PS5 announcement showcase, the June showcase. I watched it last night, and when they were doing like the specs of what the PS5 has and everything, it's like, cool, you're getting ray tracing, like you're getting up to 8K capabilities, but like
ray tracing.
I'm like, these are nice to haves. These are not what's really gonna send this game into the extra stratosphere and everything. And so, yeah, the reason that you go and get excited about the next console, about the next big game, about any major title is what's the gameplay? Am I going to be grasped by this story and these characters? Right. That's the interesting aspect. I don't give a flying ish about graphics.
I think like
nowadays.
the SSD is interesting and like being able to load something really fast to be able to like blitz around the world.
Yeah,
and,
that's
like,
cool.
New engines like Unreal Engine 5 is cool tech. And I do want to go back on what I just said that nobody cares about ray tracing because apparently 70% of people keep on the graphics mode for games when you have the choice between frame rate or graphics. So I'm a frame rate snob personally. I would way prefer 60 frames per second. I was going to say that's the innovation, but apparently people don't care about that as much as
I'm chill with 30.
Thought. Yeah, it's wild.
I'm chill with 30. If the graphics look great and it runs smooth enough, if you can run at a smooth 30, I'm down. I'll rock it.
Balatro should win Game of the Year. I get that it's repetitive and it isn't exactly a AAA game with gorgeous graphics. It's an incredible game, especially to say it was made by one person. The core loop is so intriguing, but still manages to be easily accessible, and even just going for all achievements could easily fill the time it would take to beat almost any other game I can think of. It has endless replayability, and if you really look into it, every little teensy weensy thing about the game has to be tweaked and optimized to provide what is genuinely an addicting game. This take might blow up in my face because the back half of the year is stacked, but oh well. And that is from Stun.
Based ass take. Not too upset about it. It's not my game of the year. I don't even know if it's in my top 5 because I've only played about 10-ish hours of Latro. Don't dislike the take though.
Yeah.
This game's fucking awesome. And like going to and discussing game of the year of like what you're talking about with wanting creative and new and cool ideas, like I do believe that should be celebrated. But at the end of the day, I think that just the best game should win. And Balatro is one of those titles this year. It is insanely impressive that this game was made by one person. I just learned that today from reading that.
I'm honestly not sure that that's. I can't confirm or deny
that.
I
can
he
look
just
it up
told
in
me.
just a moment.
I mean, I believe him.
Yeah, I'll look it up in just a moment when Connor starts speaking. But I mean, this game's awesome, and it's extremely unique. I hope it wins for sure best indie. I think that it's going to have some tough competition for sure, but it's really impressive.
I think it is the best game from this year from like the standpoint of what you can poke holes in. There's really no holes to poke in this game. I think it's like really immaculate. It's a forever game for me. I will play Balatro for the next decades to come. Like, I think it is really special. I think everybody should play it. Does it have a chance to win Game of the Year? Absolutely not. If it was 2014 or 2021, I could actually see it having a shot winning Game of the Year. But I don't think it has the widespread appeal.
Do you think
necessarily
it could compete 2019. Control, Sekiro. Well, Sekiro won it, but like those types of games. RE2
No,
remake.
No.
Okay.
I think RE2 remake is better than it.
Oh, real?
No.
Come on. You said that
So,
this game might be a 10.
Let me backtrack that a little bit. I think RE2 remake is like universally, like from like a wide audience perspective, like just easier to get into necessarily. Like I don't think a card game about building poker hands and gaining multipliers is like this widespread appeal type deal. Whereas RE2 is very easy to point to and be like, that is gorgeous. The gameplay is fun. The horror elements are great. Like it's easier to sell, if that makes sense.
Two things. One, it was made by a one-man developer. That's rad as shit.
Put it on phones, please.
And
I'll never get anything done ever again, but please.
And then the second thing I did want to say was this: as amazing of a game as it is, it's still just the second best card game from this year in gaming.
Because of
Queen's Blood? Yep.
Yeah, Brady's addicted to Queen's Blood right now.
Queen's Blood's so fucking good, dude.
This is from Andreas V. My hot take is that I don't think Red Dead Redemption 2 is as incredible as most people say. While I can appreciate everything the game does right, atmosphere, voice acting, and music, I find it super hard to keep engaged. I've tried playing it 4 times at this point, but I can't find myself going past the 6-hour mark. The build-up is way too slow for me, and the traversal is not as fun as to keep it interesting throughout 40 hours. Maybe it's just me, not for me, which is okay. Love the content, by the way. Andreas, it's just not for you. And it's not for a lot of people. Like that's what people really need to understand about Red Dead Redemption 2 is that it is demanding and it is one thing and one thing only. And if you don't like that one thing, you're not going to like it. But for the people who are willing to put in the time and really immerse themselves and kind of role play as this character and traverse the world and just kind of get lost in this wild, wild west, it's something special. But I would this might be the number one game that rings in my ear as like not somebody's cup of tea. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's what I would point you to, just not for everybody. You know what I mean? So I totally get that.
Quick question for you: what should have won Game of the Year 2018? Red Dead 2 or God of War?
Red Dead 2.
It's a sequel. Anyways,
that's not what we were talking about. Sequel, fine. You go look at Red Dead 2 and Red Dead 1 and really tell me. I'm just not even.
That was mainly just to poke the bear. And Connor saw
like
it.
How similar? I mean, they're not. But one of them's like a technical marvel, like amazing. Not that Red Dead Redemption 1 isn't great. It's a huge step up. It's totally different.
I do have. I just want to double back on this and just ask a simple question. You don't need to like get too antsy in the pants on this one. Should Tears of the Kingdom have been nominated last year?
Yeah.
With the mindset of this is completely building off of Hyrule. I know that there's new mechanics. A lot of people do call that DLC, like, and joke about it. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, me neither.
But should that get nominated?
Yes, but I think that it was like at the bottom of the totem pole for me for should be nominated.
Yeah.
Like over Mario Wonder? Absolutely.
Well, it's interesting because no joke, I'm thinking about this. Spider-Man 2, if we're wanting to talk about this creative aspect, and I'm not arguing against you. I'm not even arguing against. I'm just having a fun hypothetical conversation. Spider-Man 2 is 100% building off the world, and there's just a couple new areas with the new story. Resident Evil 4 remake is a fucking remake, and that's legitimately what they were going against. I mean, every single game was a fucking sequel of some sort last year, except for Mario Wonder, even though that's just a sequel in a franchise. It's a new idea within that franchise. For me, it's just not. I just disagree with that take so wholeheartly. But back to the Red Dead Redemption 2 take. I played a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2. I didn't beat it because this game is not for me. I think that it's, like Connor said, technical marvel. It's an amazing video game. I understand all the love and respect it deserves. I do think that the gameplay has a little bit of a flaw to it with the core just star shooting. That's just not my cup of tea. I think that there's better shooting mechanics in a lot of other games, and that is a lot of that game. But I do think that it is not for everyone. And I want to bring this up because I want you to not feel overwhelmed with the disagreement of where Connor and I sort of were at with this game. This wouldn't be my personal top 50, but I'm not alone is sentiment. I pulled up the GQ top 100 games list that they did with all the journalists in 2023.
Yeah, I hated the way that they did that. They
what?
conducted that. Like, if I remember correctly, just like
Everyone
the
nominates
ranking-
10 games.
but it wasn't like a point system.
Yeah,
as far as
you just nominate 10.
Yeah, it's just 10 games, and they all, if they show up on the list at 10, it's the same as showing up on the list at 1. I think.
I think it might have been a point system, actually.
I don't remember why it annoyed me, but it annoyed me. I thought it was 3. I thought it was 3 games.
It's a 5 or 10. I think it was 10.
Okay, we can't argue about this because I don't have all the information, but I remember being annoyed about it.
The number 15 game is Red Dead 2. And I think that's makes sense of where it can land. Because
number 1 was Breath of the Wild, right?
What?
Number 1 was Breath of the Wild.
Number 1 was Breath of the Wild. No, you can get the top 5. All these games, except for one of them, came out past the year 2013.
Tetris.
Tetris was the one that didn't.
Last of Us.
Yep, that's number 2. You got the top 3.
Mario Galaxy.
Mario
World.
Games with swords or sword type games.
Devil May Cry.
Think like one of your greatest games of all time.
I don't know.
Your number 2 greatest game of all time.
Oh, Bloodborne.
Bloodborne's at 4, and then
games with swords.
Well, I said kind of because this other game is a game with a sword. Think of open world games.
Witcher 3.
Yes, that's the number 5. Number 6 is Mass Effect 2, and number 7 is Metal Gear Solid. We will do a podcast discussing this list one day, so I don't want to harp on it. But Red Dead 2 is at 15 on that list, and I love that placement because I think that's a great place of it. For a lot of people, it can be your number 1. It can be in your top 5. If you really fuck with it, it's deserving, but not everyone's gonna really fuck with it. And I as someone that like has a lot of love for this game and understands how technically insanely impressive it is, it's also sort of not for me. And that's a fine thing. Not all games need to be for everyone. So don't feel too off about it. A lot of games journalists, I would say, didn't put it on their list for a reason. Certain journalists would probably be like, yeah, it's also not my cup of tea. And that's why it's at 15 on this list and not the top 10.
And that's why it didn't win Game of the Year in 2018. Greg Miller didn't like it, right? I remember that being like a whole deal in the Kind of Funny community that like Greg Miller didn't like.
And he still doesn't. God of War 2018, where is it on the list? I just found it.
13.
47.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's much further below Red Dead 2.
Yeah, and I love God of War 2018.
I
think it's great.
Yeah.
It's not Red Dead Redemption 2, though.
Oh, man. I obviously, this is a work in progress score, but like my experience of Red Dead 2, I would probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, no. But okay.
Gameplay, the shooting mechanics didn't hit for me. I think the game is slow.
I don't prefer the auto lock, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, for me though, like we're talking about a core, one of, if not the core gameplay mechanic being fine.
I think everything else about the game lifts that one core thing that I think is lesser to it's to just wiping off the plate. It's like talking about how like Gone Home doesn't have combat. It's like, well, okay, there's one aspect that just isn't here or whatever, but like everything else is so good.
I'm saying
that
it's there and it's not great, and it's way too slow for me.
Way
too slow. But that's just my thought process, and I want to say that thought process just because we're talking about this person not being able to get into it. I agree with that sentiment, even though like I push forward because of the greatness of the game outside of those aspects, but I understand not being able to get into it, especially with the pacing.
I have 17 of these, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Super Mario 64 isn't the incredible video game everyone makes it out to be. Sure, it was incredible for its time that it was released, but video games have evolved much more past the era, and 3D platforming has continued to exceed expectations and one-up themselves with each passing year. Nothing against the game at all, but it's time to acknowledge that another 3D platformer, even within the Mario universe, can be and are better than Super Mario 64. And that is from T.
I'll let you take this one first.
I think Mario 64 is maybe the best 3D platformer ever made. Still, I have no nostalgia for this game. I played it on the DS, and I didn't like it. Then I played it on a little bit on like an N64, and I didn't like it. And then when the 3D package came out, I was like, okay, I'm going to play all 3 of these in a row. And I played Mario 64, and I was like, oh, yeah, this game is fucking amazing. Like, it's immaculate, and it is so impressive how good it is today still. Like, mechanically, on the sticks, it feels so good still. And this is like a first outing for a 3D platformer for Nintendo. It's like, how did they nail it from the jump, there's a reason this is the game that people still speedrun from this series. Like, there's a huge running community behind Mario 64, and there's a reason for that. It's because it controls perfectly. It's so good. I think each level is so unique and distinctive and fun to explore. The different challenges are like add so much variety to exploring each of the levels. I love Super Mario 64. Are there great 3D platformers outside of it? Absolutely. If you want to choose Galaxy or even Odyssey, like, I get it. But I think the staying power is all you really need to know about Super Mario 64 when it comes to how good it is.
Yeah, game's a masterpiece. There's nothing more that I really need to say on it. It's one of my 10s.
Yeah.
And it's the reasoning behind it is the flaws, the parts of this game that are like clear flaws. Obviously, the camera's a major one. It works. And that's the whole thing that I'm like, this shouldn't work, and it does, and it makes the game even better. So that's wild. It's almost like they're like, no, we're gonna handcuff you to certain decisions, but those decisions are actually going to be still timeless and make sense. It's almost like going and being like, the Star Wars has some fucking flaws. Like, a lot of the newer movies have a lot better action and a lot better dialogue, and it's like, yeah, but the package that they delivered, they just fucking nailed it the first time with the New Hope. It's that level of just like, they just fucking nailed it. It's insane to me.
It's coming from somebody who thinks A New Hope is the best one.
No. I don't think it's my favorite.
Okay.
Empire's the best. It is better.
Gotcha.
But like, I just think that once again, I think both those movies are masterclasses in film. And for me, it's just like, how the fuck did you do this? Or if you want to go and say the evolution of 2D to 3D, now they've got fucking Empire up here, and it's just like, how the fuck did you nail it? Like, how did you nail it this well? It's insane to me. So yes, I disagree with the take, but I understand. I'm a big proponent of like old game being old and like there not being that sensibility.
Exactly. I thought it was overrated for so long,
and it's not.
It's not.
It's just not.
Final Fantasy 15 and 16, it should have been a different IP than Final Fantasy. The mainline games should remain turn-based. Plenty of modern turn-based games have been killing it, both with critics and fans. Persona 5 Royal, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Dragon Quest XI, Baldur's Gate 3. There are ways to improve turn-based without turning the series into DMC, and that's from Oryx OnlyFans.
Oryx. I would not have gone back, and I wouldn't love Final Fantasy without Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
And 15 was my first. So I disagree.
You wouldn't love Final Fantasy without Final Fantasy 16?
Well, 7 remake, but I want to focus on the like the main action combat, not even like because there is some turn-based sensibilities in 7 still.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just like, why can't we just have more cool, dope shit? Like, you're putting it in a box when the stuff outside of the box is awesome. Like, why can't we just have more awesome experiences? For me, Final Fantasy is music, character, story. That's sort of like the 3 pillars that I look to, where I'm like, the music's got to be top notch, with certain themes and motifs in that music that like goes and reigns true throughout Final Fantasies. You need to have a cast of characters that I really care about, and you need a story that's a grand adventure that it deals with themes that are just paramount in life and in gaming and in storytelling. And that's what Final Fantasy 16 does so excellently. I'm not going to say 15 for the sake of this argument.
15's combat is bad.
Yeah, it's
bad.
not good.
It's not fun.
But
The
that's
open
what
world
makes
is
the Final
bad.
Fantasy to me. I understand that turn-based is an important thing to you. I don't need that. And also, I'm a big proponent of like, let's do what the game creators want. Like, let's have the studios, let them have fun and get creative.
But why do they have to? Why can't they make something that's not Final Fantasy with those ideas?
They can, but it doesn't have to.
But they don't.
I mean,
like, why can't Square Enix make a new series that is
Forspoken
like,
was an attempt at a new series that is adventure in music and like so they can.
Well, I'm saying that was bad. So I'm just saying, like, why does this need the Final Fantasy name to succeed?
I know this, I'm not shouting or like trying to dunk on any other creator at Square Enix, but I'm a firm believer that like they have the fucking A team on this thing.
Yeah, so you have the A team make. Why can't you have the A team make something that is
the
like
IP is
Final
going to sell
Fantasy
more.
16? Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Like, it's if we're just talking about like what we want, I would prefer Final Fantasy to be turn based and have another studio or go every other with the A team, make Final Fantasy turn-based, and then make an action non-Final Fantasy game.
Yeah,
That's what
but
I would prefer.
That's preference, but like, what if those creators don't want it?
Well, they clearly want to make an action game, so
exactly.
why does it have to be forced to be Final Fantasy?
Why can't it not be Final Fantasy though? Like, you're
Because
saying,
it's taking away from a turn-based Final Fantasy.
but they don't want to make that.
But the fans want it.
I mean, clearly they're doing something right as of right now. I understand.
According to them, they're not.
Oh well, yeah, because that's like going and saying like, "Hey, we're gonna be the number one gaming podcast the next time we go and shoot this." This has been an amazing podcast, but that's just not gonna be the case. The fans want it, but that's just not gonna happen. That's not the reality we live in the same way that Final Fantasy games are never gonna sell 25 million copies. It's not gonna happen.
I love Final Fantasy 16. Would I have preferred? Would I have even played it if it wasn't a Final Fantasy game? I like to think I would have. But the reality is that they need the IP name to sell a bunch of copies, and that is what it is. But in a perfect world, I would prefer Final Fantasy to have stayed turn-based and everybody buy it and enjoy it and have it be viable. It's just not viable anymore, apparently, for them. But they do make a good point that how is it viable for Like a Dragon, Baldur's Gate, Persona? Like, why is it viable for them and not viable for Final Fantasy? And I do think it is viable for Final Fantasy at this point. I just think they were scared off after Final Fantasy 13 and the way that people talked about that game.
I'm a believer that they overshoot their metrics. The way that I've heard that FF7 Rebirth has sold, the way that even FF16 sold, I'm a firm believer that we're still talking about FF16's sake. That's a console that is not out to everyone, even though PS5 just sound like hotcakes. I feel like the sales numbers make sense, and like it was never going to sell 15 million copies. It was never going to sell God of War, Spider-Man, or Horizon numbers. So when you're talking about a third-party partnership that's exclusive, I'm like, this
what
makes
you expect?
sense.
Yeah. 3 million, probably 4, maybe 5 at this point. For Final Fantasy 16 is like, it's really great for one pillar for just one console. So I mean I digress, but. Next take, Stray did not deserve the massive praise it got. It looks really good, but aside from that, it has very little positive. It's a 5 out of 10 game at best, and it's insane how not only it was nominated for Game of the Year, but also won Best Indie over vastly superior games like Neon White and Tunic. It feels like people just love this game because the cat is cute and little else. And that's from Nanabite.
Let's play a little game, Connor. Is this game better than Stray? Games of 2022. Ready? I'm going to try to hit you with either major titles or games that you've played.
I played Stray for the first time this year. So
yes, I understand.
It's fresh in my mind.
Yep. Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yep.
Horizon Forbidden West. You can say no
yes.
first. Oh, okay. Did you ever get to Marvel Snap?
No.
Marvel Snap's so much fun. I would say it's better. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Matt Lucid would murder me if I didn't say that title.
I would
is
imagine
better.
it is.
Kirby the Forgotten Land. Did you get to that one?
Laura did, and everything I saw about it, yes. Okay, keep going.
A awesome game that we played this year. TMNT Shredder's Revenge.
1,000%.
Sifu.
1,000,000%.
Exactly. So I'm the reason I bring up these games is
Stray is a 6 out of 10 game in my opinion. Maybe a 6.5, maybe a 7.
I think it's a good ride.
It's fine.
It's good. It's creative. It's interesting. We should be celebrating new and interesting ideas apparently in this channel and not just sequels.
I do think that it's important to have it. It's an indie game. It's different than and we aren't talking about sequels. We're talking about DLC and the Game Awards specifically. I think obviously Elden Ring should be celebrated. I just don't think it fucking needs an award at the Game Awards. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
The best game should win. Anyways.
The best game should win.
Well, he also said remakes and remasters don't count, which is...
I'd prefer them not to count, but they do.
In the same way the DLC does. I prefer it doesn't count, but they do.
I feel way better about remakes. Well, remasters, no. Remasters definitely shouldn't be included. Remasters aren't included.
A remaster can win it.
When has a remaster ever even been nominated?
Metro Prime got nominated for something last year, I believe.
Okay. But remakes... better. I mean, RE4 original is way different than RE4 remake in my opinion. So that's a good example of like, okay, like I can live with that. I don't prefer it, but I can live with it.
The gameplay of Elden Ring Shadow of the Tree is vastly different.
Okay. From Sweet Dijon, huge Zelda fan, my hot take is that Tears of the Kingdom is one of the worst of the entire franchise. They took 6 years to reuse 75% of their assets and still lacked on the storytelling. All the added underground and sky sucked, and the crafting is more annoying than fun. 4 out of 10. I agree with some of this. I do think that the underground is one of those things that like you look at it and you're like, this is huge, and then you realize there's like it's really empty and there's really not a lot to do down there. I was like, oh, is there going to be more shrines down there? No, not more shrines down there, which is disappointing. There is key points of interest that are interesting and it is additive, but I think it's disappointing as a whole. The crafting aspect and like the fusing aspect, I was an uphill battle for me. When I saw that was like the key thing, I was like, that is so stupid.
It's gonna suck.
Like, why would that be fun? And then I played it and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty fun.
It's actually fucking unbelievable how they just are like, we're just gonna let you get a big old stick and poke shit and have it be the most fun thing in the planet. It's insane that they pulled it off.
It's cool, but I do dispute the fact that the tools in Breath of the Wild and the tools in Tears of the Kingdom, when you compare them, like one is like vastly superior to the other. They're different. They're just different tools. Like I like solving puzzles with bombs and like magnesis or whatever it was and like stuff like that. I think that was cool. And was a fun way to traverse shrines. And then the stuff in Tears was great as well. So I don't necessarily disagree with that. I do like the Sky Islands quite a bit. I thought there was a lot of diversity up there. Worst in the entire franchise, I don't agree with. Obviously, I mean, I've only played 3 of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're going to live in a really weird spot where I will have completed more Zeldas than you.
You're just about to hit it, right?
Yeah, when I do Wind Waker, I will.
Tears? No.
I will finish Tears before I beat Wind Waker.
I doubt it.
Connor,
I doubt it.
Connor, stop doubting me. Connor has doubted me so much. We were shooting the Q&A today, and we brought up the fact that Connor was just like, yeah, you're never going to beat Cuphead, and then I beat Cuphead. Yeah, you're never going to beat Bloodborne, and then I beat Bloodborne. And then it all dials back. The moment of this channel that I decided the man I was going to be was Connor going and saying, you're not going to play Elden Ring this year. You're not going to do it. There's no way you do it. You definitely said something along the lines of I'll eat my shorts or something like that on that initial phone call.
Prove it.
We might still have the clip somewhere, so I wouldn't quote you on that. And then I fucking did it. And then you said there's no way you beat Shadow of the Retreat, and I fucking did it. It's a goal of mine. This actually isn't as stringent as like me being like, I'm gonna beat Erdtree. My goal is to beat Tears of the Kingdom at some point this year. I have a 60-hour save on Tears of the Kingdom. I'm on the doorstep. I just haven't gotten to it. It's gonna take me 2 or 3 nights to get through it. With that being said, I'm not a huge Zelda man. I'm not I played Twilight Princess and I was like, it's a great game. It's a great time. It's not blowing my hair back by any means. I will play Ocarina.
Yeah, Ocarina is so special. I would like to get to more Zelda this year. I literally thought about doing it after finishing Pikmin, and then I was like, well, I got to give Nick the Wii U. So I'll wait until I get back.
Are you going to rock Wind Waker when you get the chance with it?
Maybe. That or Twilight, which I now own 3 times on Wii U, and GameCube.
The 3-peat.
But I'm going to play it on Wii U, probably.
By the way, a little something for you. Last year, Tears of the Kingdom. This year, Echoes of Wisdom. Next year, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker Switch 2. Take it to the bank.
Interesting.
You gotta have a Zelda every year.
I'm sick of arguing, or not arguing, or like saying that like they have to do it now.
Well, my whole thing was
I feel like I've been saying that for 5 years.
Well, the reason that the whole thing was 2022. They were like, we might have it. We might it might be there. Link's Awakening was 21. I want to say. Link's Awakening and then Skyward Sword. Yeah, so we got Skyward Sword in 22, 23 Tears, 24 Echoes of Wisdom. They want a Zelda thing every year. That is their goal. In the same way that I firmly believe that PlayStation wants a Last of Us thing every year, but they got screwed because Factions wasn't good enough.
You said Link's Awakening 21?
Yeah, it's 21.
It's, or is it 2019 or 20? No, it's 19.
I think it's 19. So it's on a lesser.
You have nothing 20 or 21.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe Skyward Sword was 21.
Yeah, it was 21. We reacted that direct. Wait. Yeah, no, we did. Ooh. Did we?
No, the Link's Awakening direct?
No. I'm talking about the Skyward Sword direct.
Skyward Sword, no, I watched that at Mitchell's house.
Oh, really?
Yep, I'm positive.
Yeah, 21's E3 didn't have Skyward Sword in it?
I'm not sure, Nick.
Damn. Anyways, what are we even talking about? I completely lost.
Talking about
Tears of
Zelda.
the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is 2019. Tears of the Kingdom it's insane. For me, I gave Twilight Princess an 8.5. For me, Tears of the Kingdom's at like a 9.5 for me as of right now. It's one of my favorite games from last year. I can't believe that they pulled it off in the way that they did. It is so creative. As somebody that doesn't like crafting games, as someone that doesn't like using my brain when I play video games too often to really critically think, to have to critically think 100 times and every single time be extremely excited about it is insanely impressive. And for that fun to be there with that critical thinking every single time is insanely impressive. Yeah. I remember being sick for an entire day, like where I am on bed rest and I'm laying in bed playing Tears of the Kingdom, and there was a moment where I almost started like crying from fun because I'm just so happy that I have this as a comfort when I am sick right now. That is how good this fucking game is. 4 out of 10, honestly, in my opinion, is disrespectful. It's your opinion. We're just talking about opinions, but that's a wild take.
The storytelling in FromSoft games is lazy and has enabled a toxic superiority complex for the lore masters and true Elden Lords, who think they can dictate how other people should interact with the game and its world. And that is from Brian. 100% agree. I think it is boring ass storytelling. Maybe I'm just not smart enough for it. Maybe I'm a big dummy who doesn't want to read a bunch, but like, this is not why I play games. I don't have to peel over item descriptions to get story. I think it's stupid and boring, and there is an elitist thing across the board when it comes to Elden Ring. I try not to really hold that against Elden Ring itself, the way that people talk about it. I just look at the game for what it is. But when it comes to this specifically, this is a stupid way to tell a story, in my opinion, and I think it is dumb and annoying.
You can think it's a stupid way to tell a story. You can think it's a dumb way to tell a story. You can think that it's not how you think a story should be told in gaming. I will desperately refute the fact that it's lazy. That it's definitely not lazy. There's a bunch of creativity that goes in the mindset of every single one of these items that you pick up having an intrinsic value that could add a piece to a story. That is cool. It's not for everyone. It's not for me. But that is not lazy. That's the one thing pointed out entire statement that I will refute. How is that lazy? You're writing hundreds of lines of lore.
You're writing hundreds of lines. You're writing way more lines if you have to like write dialogue and write like a full-on story and things for characters to say.
I don't think you're writing more lines. There's so many items.
We can probably prove this, not right now,
Yeah.
but like you could probably prove that like there is way more lines of dialogue in like Red Dead Redemption 2 than there is in Elden Ring's lore. Like in its item descriptions, like come on.
I don't know.
Even you could like point to something that's more linear, like Uncharted 4.
I need to. This is the perfect time. Normally on Sundays, I sit down, I watch Park and Harbor stream for 4 hours while I have her up in the background. I edit videos. I'm busy tonight, but I will go and hopefully if she's still streaming, I will ask her the question of, hey, do you know how many lines of dialogue are in this? And then I'll go and look it up versus Red Dead. Someone get in the comments and let us know that difference. I will completely refute the fact that it's lazy. But elitist, sure. I think that the fans of From Software games make it a major turnoff to play these games. Absolutely. It fucking sucks because these games are so awesome that people feel like they're like it's overwhelming by the fan base. That sucks. Well, once again, I just want people to play cool ass fucking games, and the Elden Ring and all FromSoft games are pretty cool ass games.
Yeah, I do want to say, because we're harping on the word lazy a little bit, I don't think that the FromSoft developers are lazy when it comes to their the amount of work that they put in. I still think there's work to be put in. I think that it is bare bones though.
The storytelling in Elden Ring is not lazy.
Okay,
that's my big hang up. Everything else though, pretty solid take. I'll give that a 8 out of 10 take.
Gameplay with flashbacks to when main characters of games with certain abilities don't have them yet. Example, when they're kids, younger, or powerless, is like the worst way to kill pace in all of gaming. Like Uncharted 4, yeah, I said it, and that's from Zeke. 100% agree. Young Aloy at the start of Horizon, annoying. Just, I get that it's a tutorial, but like, man, I do not want to play as young Aloy. Playing as young Drake in Uncharted 3 and 4 is boring as all get out and really does hurt the overall pacing. I think Uncharted 4 handles it better than Uncharted 3.
I think it handles it
way
expertly.
Better, but I still don't prefer it.
For me, Uncharted 4, you trade off the gameplay for a complete story moment, and if your pillars are story, character, and gameplay, it's okay to go all in on a moment of just story. So I'm okay with that in Uncharted 4. I'm not going to knock that game. Uncharted 3, it is bad. It's not worth the story. The story chunks that you're getting from it aren't adding to the character, and the gameplay sucks. So agree there. Where do you stand with Ghost, with some of the flashbacks of tutorials and being young Jin?
Oh, I didn't really mind that very much.
So like my thing is, you really need to, in my opinion, doing a tutorial, it's fine. But with the gameplay aspects of it, if you're going to like have the gameplay not fully be there, not be totally fun, you need to have the story aspects, and that is in Ghost. There are story moments with the being younger and learning these mechanics, and like I'm like, hell yeah, add character, add story. Well, the gameplay is a little bit lesser than the main product that you're getting, but most times it's annoying shit. I think of 7 out of 10 take.
I also think of Mary Jane and Miles stuff.
Oh,
it's the same thing. And,
don't take away from the fun.
Yeah, it hurts the pace.
Yeah,
for sure.
It hurts the pace, but my main thing is for those moments, I would say with Mary Jane, there's not as much story as I would need. Some of the moments of playing as Miles, there's a little bit more story aspects to it, but like, yeah, it's if you're taking away from my fun, you need to be delivering the goods on the story and keep me invested, because it's a pace killer if not. And certain developers in stories do it very well. I think Uncharted 4 is almost the exception to the rule, where I'm gripped to the story that's happening during those moments in a way, and the characters that are involved in a way that no other game really pulls off, and that's why it's still a masterpiece for me.
From Peyton, Advanced Warfare is the best COD we've ever gotten. The movement upgrades were astronomically more intuitive than BO6 Omni Movement is. Omni Movement should have been introduced years before the jetpacks, grappling hooks, and ground slams. Did you almost just choke and die because you thought this was funny?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I was like, geez, I like couldn't really give it together.
Wrong tube.
This isn't a horrible take in my opinion. Advanced Warfare is incredibly underrated.
Yep.
Like movement shooters and like stuff like Apex and like anything with jetpacks and omni suits, Titanfall were the shit. They were fun. I know that we got like a lot of them like really fast trying to copy Titanfall, but like
Titanfall's so good.
It was good, dude. Like they were a lot of fun. And Advanced Warfare was super arcadey, which fit the Call of Duty format very well. I thought it was a ton of fun. So yeah, I don't hate the take. Best? Absolutely not. Let's settle down a little bit, but let's put some respect on it.
Your favorite COD can be your favorite COD. That's a fine thing. COD is such, like, I was watching Chargy's top 50, and he had Black Ops 3 in his top 10, and like that's base as fuck, because that's it, he even says it. He's like, that's my COD. And for me, Black Ops 3, as much as I loved my time with Black Ops 1 and 2,
it's baby's Call of Duty.
That's my fucking
little
Call
baby
of Duty.
Boy. You're a little baby boy.
Why am I a baby boy for like in BO3?
2001. Oh, little baby boy.
Oh my God. But I still played the fuck out of Black Ops 1 with you and Black Ops 2 and MW2.
But that's the thing is, like, you give 4 more years and it's BO2, like for me, or in BO1. Like that's
but like, so your favorite's gonna be your favorite.
Right.
Best, I think, is there's not, what does that do better than Black Ops 3? I don't know.
Advanced Warfare, nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, and that's another movement shooter. Like the movement is just better.
I think the movement might be better in Advanced Warfare, but it's more arcadey. It's like it's really frenetic and real, but like, and I get that being a turnoff for some people, but I found it really fun.
Yeah. Oh, I once again, Advanced Warfare, hella underrated. Maybe even a top 10 Call of Duty. I don't hold me to that, but like it's a good ride, and so I don't hate it. But like, we're talking about the multiplayer maps in Black Ops 2, ridiculous. The zombies in Black Ops 3, ridiculous. BO1 being the full package of innovation in zombies, plus a great suite of multiplayer, plus a really great story. Like there's a lot of love to have. MW2, some of the best multiplayer gameplay ever. So I don't know. It's a tough one, but 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10 take for me.
From Lisi, Bloodborne is the most overrated Souls game, not even top 3 Soulsborne, Elden Ring, Dark Souls 1, and Sekiro, and is heavily carried by the DLC. We can't speak to the DLC because neither of us have played it, but I really need to hammer home when it comes to Souls games that, like, if you're somebody who's like gameplay, like, I get it. There's definitely Souls games with better gameplay than Bloodborne, but none of them have the sauce. And that's such an important aspect of these worlds, is feeling immersed and wanting to explore them. It's a twisted, fucked up world, and I want to spend all my time in it. And that's a testament to how amazing Yharnam is. And I get it. Like, I know that maybe on a technical standpoint, it's not that great, but the ability to regain health is super unique by staying on the offensive for all of Souls games. That shit is awesome.
Yeah.
I like the blood vials. I was watching some of Andy play it, and I like forgot about blood vials. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, I like being able to like just have a ton of health and like really kind of hoard them and be ready to go and like grind and get them, rather than having a limited number of
3,
Estus
5,
flasks.
yeah.
So I think that's like good aspects. And then the gun, dude. I think like having an enemy being able to swing back and you stun them or whatever is very satisfying. I know there's other like parries, and obviously with Sekiro, like it's all focused on parries. So there's better combat in the Soul series, and there's certainly better bosses and stuff like that. But I would go with Bloodborne as my favorite. But I understand anybody saying that it's not theirs.
I'm okay with the word overrated. I think that that's a great word for it. You're not calling it bad. You're not calling it not impressive. You're just calling it overrated. I mean, GQ list, number 4 game of all time. It's hard for that not to be quote unquote overrated if you think that there are better Souls games than it when you're talking about journalistic people discussing video games overall. Or you're just talking about the general discussion of video games and the level of Bloodborne. This is an amazing game for me. It's a 9 out of 10. It's not 9.5. It's sure as hell not a 10. And what Connor said reigns true. It has the fucking sauce. Yharnam is dope as shit. I think that the boss battles are a little bit less than. And I love that they're like, the DLC carries it. For me, I'm like, if this had great boss fights, like in the way that like I was really desiring after something like Shadow of the Erd Tree, I would be like, fuck yeah. But it doesn't. And so that would be that next step for me. If the DLC is awesome, I would love to bump my score up on the overall package.
When do you think you'll get to the DLC?
It's gonna be a while. I have like 3 games in the background I want to play before I hop back into anything.
I can't anytime soon.
I can't do something difficult right now.
Right.
I am Connor
Apparently
knows,
that's where the difficulty is.
I know,
for
which like I want, dude. I love getting my ass handed to me at this point. Like it's something that if you asked me 2 years ago, you would say you will never enjoy these games because I fucking hated it.
Well, you were
initially.
very vocal about not liking Bloodborne when you first played it.
And so, I like, once again, I was immature. I didn't fully understand the beauty of these games.
It's hard to understand.
It's insane how much I fucking love these games now. Like, it was funny. I was in Parky's chat a couple days ago, and she's like, "Do you ever plan on like speedrunning any of these games?" And I was like, "If you asked me that 1,000 times before, I would say no 1,000 times." Now, part of me is like, dude, it would be really fun to like try to just charge through Elden Ring and just mess people up. Like, that would be a blast. So yeah, it's got the sauce, but I like the take because overrated, I think, is a great word. And you listed some of the best games ever alongside it. So sure, overrated's fine.
Star Wars Outlaws sounds like a half decent game. I don't get the hate towards it, and that's from Kyoja.
I think that that's the perfect word for it. It sounds like a half decent game. I'm stoked for Outlaws. I think it's going to be a great time. Open world Star Wars fun. If you like, this isn't going to win Game of the Year, y'all. Like, this isn't going to be like,
but I don't
fucking awesome. But
the hate is weird.
The hate's odd. It's Star Wars though. People are really particular about Star Wars, and people are really particular about Ubisoft. A lot of people on the internet like to dunk on Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft like went from a beloved publisher of games to like.
They made some mistakes.
I think they might be more hated than EA at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, even Battlefront 2042 came out and wasn't like very good, but I feel like people weren't like really mad about it before it even released. Whereas here, it's like everybody's just mad before the game's even out. I'm like, all right. Final take, Connor from Co-op 64 is a better gamer than Nick from Co-op 64, and that is from Big Mac.
We went so many rounds this morning. Is that actually the last take?
Yeah.
Oh man, this podcast flew. We went many rounds on this. My whole discussion point of why I'm a better gamer than Connor is I did not set the goalpost. I did not set the distance I had to run to be the best gamer at Co-op 64. Connor said on this very podcast, "You're not the best gamer at Co-op 64. You haven't beaten Bloodborne. You're not the best gamer at Co-op 64. You've not beaten Cuphead." And then what have I done since then? I beat Cuphead. I beat Bloodborne. I will not listen to this slander anymore. If this man wants to continue to push the goalpost, we're going to be here for, well, I mean, we're doing this podcast for a very long time.
Okay, I didn't understand the factor of if you just keep beating your head against the wall, you will eventually come out on top. That's all
That's
Nick
your
did.
fault.
I understand, but like, I need you to come back to the fact that like, I need you to watch me play The Last of Us right now and tell me that you could do what I'm doing currently. I am cooking. Absolutely cooking my way through this game right now, and you cannot tell me you would do it better. I think I could play Elden Ring better than you if I actually wanted to play Elden Ring.
My whole thing comes back to there are certain games I dog walk Connor in that I am
beat me in Mario Kart.
I'm a much better Mario Kart player than you.
And
I'm a
I
much
dog
better
walk
Smash
you in
Bros.
Valorant.
No, here's the thing though, that we're talking about like that is a competitive shooter on a single platform. I would dog walk you in Fortnite. I would dog walk you in a lot of different multiplayer things. So when it comes down to it, it's really those fun multiplayer experiences. And because Valorant's sweaty, and
but I've never been known to play the multiplayer experiences. I've always been known to enjoy single player stuff. That's my bread and butter.
I understand, but then you're coming out here and saying things like you're better than me at zombies and Fall Guys, and those are just false.
I am better than you at both of those things.
That's just incorrect.
We're gonna find out during the Fall Guys community night.
Yeah, I mean, the way I want to go and throw down the gauntlet with the Fall Guys community night is we'll probably play, because Fall Guys, I'm thinking like 10 to 12, let's just say 15-minute total rounds, 3 hours. It's going to be, let's just say 15 rounds. I expect to win 5 of them. I like with 60-person lobbies.
Wow.
I expect to win 5.
You think 60 people are going to play?
My main thing with doing community lobbies, it will be beyond just us. Like
okay.
Our community, people will find ways to join from
Okay.
us watching Twitch and stuff like that. I do think we'll get up to 60, and I promise you, Connor, I did a community night where like people were playing Fall Guys back in the day when there was only like 15 people, and I stepped up to the plate and I won 4 games in a row, and then I was like, peace the fuck out.
I wasn't in the lobby.
Connor, you're not better than me at Fall Guys. It's a ridiculous
I legitimately
statement.
think I am. Real quick, before we get into the draft, I do want to say something that I think is very important. For new people, Nick and I are brothers.
Yes.
And we have heated arguments like this all the time. We've had heated arguments like this our entire lives. Yeah. It's all love. I just go back to like Greg Miller and Snowbike Mike arguing about Hellblade 2 on that review, and there was like Reddit threads of like, man, these guys like are really mad at each other and like really hate each other, and I don't think that's the case for them, but it's definitely not the case for us when we're arguing like this. It's all love, like, but we like to get heated. It's fun. I think it makes for a good discussion, but like I'm afraid some people might look at it and be like, oh, they're mad at each other. No. And like, we're not mad at each other.
There's never, we have like, no joke, we do have safe words on podcasts to like calm things down if we need
Pineapple.
to.
What are our safe words? I'm not familiar.
We do have that.
I don't remember.
I can refresh you, buddy. But
I feel like that would be so awkward to say during a podcast. Would I text it to you?
There's natural ways to do it. Anyways,
right.
We went over this back in 2023, so.
Yeah, but I would never say something that would upset you.
But even if there were something that did and we couldn't say one of those words, we would handle things off camera, and we, at the end of the day, understand it's all love.
There's never
love.
Been something that's even come close in my opinion.
To it. And like even this argument that we had today with about Game of the Year and stuff like that.
I wouldn't even call it an argument. It's just like
or a debate.
Heated debate.
Yeah. It's so much fun. Like I'm having a blast with it because I'm like, in my opinion, this is what it's all about.
I listen to a lot of gaming podcasts, and I am annoyed that people don't
disagree every now and then
for certain disagreements. Yeah. Like, I think it makes for way more interesting conversations sometimes of people being like passionate and excited about one of their takes. Like, so I think it's good. I think it's healthy. Personally, I think it adds an interesting dynamic to our podcast. We can talk to each other in the way that we do or whatever because we are brothers.
There's the aspect that we're brothers, but also I think it's
fun.
So much respect to the other person where we like, not just because we're brothers, but we both respect each other's gaming opinions a lot. And then when we disagree, the nice part is with a lot of Connor's takes, a large majority of them, even when I disagree, I do see his side. And I think that's there.
I do see your side when it comes to the DLC thing. I just hate your side.
Yeah. No, the best part was you being like, the whole argument boils down to the moment where you're like, I know what you're saying. I know what the rules are. It just feels wrong.
And I just don't like it.
I'm like,
I don't
that's
like
fine.
it.
Those are just the rules. and one day,
and I said I don't like the rules. We can't do this again.
I do have a question for you. Once again, just a civil like offshoot. Jeff Keighley calls us up. He's like, hey boys, I want you guys on the panel this year.
We'll
Do
go
you-
10 rounds
do
about
you let
not
me
letting you
submit-
vote for Shadow of the Erdtree. I won't. I mean, we can talk about it. We'll go back
the
and
fun
forth
part,
on it.
I do legitimately think the compromise would you be me being like, taking Nate's on there for us. And you'd be like, I don't really want it. But
What
if
would
that
you?
means,
I don't even know how that works. You submit 6 yourself.
it would probably be 6 as the community or as our nominee
Okay.
branch.
All right. Let's. Are you taking first pick in this since this is your
Sure,
draft?
sure. Why not?
Sure.
I have notes here that I'm going to use instead of my phone. You moved my like bottom bracket thing on to there it is. My like where it disappears from it, and I hate it so much.
This is the longest I've been over here in weeks.
Oh, dude, yeah, I don't know even how this fucking happened. I
have
do
to
know how it
draft in
happened.
a couple hours.
Oh, dude, we have to eat a hot pepper in 10 minutes. Like this is
It's gonna suck so bad.
I asked Connor to like video mine on just his phone camera, just as something to have for perpetuity. And so, it's gonna suck ass,
All
dude.
right.
Ready?
Yep.
Today, I don't like that today. Today, we are drafting video game snacks, our favorite snacks to have while gaming. And I am going to, what was that face for?
You just fell over your have with gaming.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You got me on that one. Today, we are drafting our favorite video game snacks, our favorite snacks to have while playing some video games. I have the first pick, and I'm choosing pretzels. It is the best snack to have. It doesn't get your hands all messed up. You're able to grab that controller, grab a handful of pretzels, toss them back, and then get back into the action. Pretzels with the first overall pick.
I think that's a great pick. I'm not a huge snacker when it comes to playing games. I don't want stuff on my hands. I'm very sensitive to that. I don't want to dirty up my controller by putting my hand in a bowl of Cheetos and getting Cheeto dust all over it, Dorito dust all over it. So keep that in mind with all my picks. They're all based around that concept for the most part. With my first pick, I'm going to go with the classic goldfish, the regular goldfish. I think it's a perfect snack to just kind of munch on, doesn't get on your hands. Delicious, salty, delectable. Love it. With my second pick, we're going to go with the extra toasted Cheez-Its. Very similar to goldfish. Perfect for not getting all over your hands, but really addicting to just, you pour like a little bit and then you like find yourself going back to the box and pouring a little bit more in there.
You went and doubled down on the cheese.
Yeah.
Wow.
100%. Well, you took my pretzels. I would have taken pretzels.
Cheez-Its, my number 2. Goldfish is down the board for me quite a bit, though.
I prefer goldfish to Cheez-Its.
Yeah. All right. For some reason, gaming, goldfish still has a little bit of dust, even though it's like it's not a lot, but it's still there. Cheez-Its, I feel like it's just the salt and the cracker. It's great. Ooh. Do I want to? Okay. With my next pick, I'm going with the classic. It's late. You're having a sleepover. You're playing Call of Duty Advanced Warfare with your buddy Nate, and his mom brings down the pizza rolls. I'm going with pizza rolls with my next pick. It's a classic, timeless pick. You always never make the correct amount of pizza rolls. It's almost always too many pizza rolls, and you just end up having pizza rolls from like 11 p.m. when they originally come down. All of a sudden, it's 4 a.m., and you're just snagging one off the tray still. It's nasty as all get out, but it's delectable. Going with the pizza rolls was my second pick. And with my third pick, I'm going to choose a little fun one for Connor. I'm choosing Oreos. I like having my glass of milk. I love doing the dunk. I love tossing it back, getting back to my gaming sense. When it comes to a good gaming snack, I don't really want a ton of them. So having that moment where I go grab a glass of milk, grab around 5 or 6 Oreos, sit down, have my little snack, and then chug the milk down at the very end of it and able to dial back in the gaming session. Hell yeah, give me Oreos.
With my third pick, I'm going to go with the greatest nut of them all. We're going to go with cashews with my third pick. I love me some cashews. You do have to have like a little paper towel to kind of like wipe up your hands to get the salt dust off. But like, yeah, I'm just throwing nuts in my mouth the entire time.
Dude, you can't be saying that.
The entire time I'm playing some games at the PC. Just, throwing them back, just chugging them. So good.
Connor the brother Evans
chugging nuts. Yep. So that's my third pick. With my fourth pick, I'm gonna go with popcorn, but specifically Skinny Pop popcorn, like the just like lightly salted, like just doesn't get on your hands at all, but like really addictive to eat. So Skinny Pop, one of the perfect video game snacks.
I'm gonna go to an area that we haven't been yet. I'm going to the candy aisle with this next pick. because I think that candy's a great snack. And when you're doing candy with gaming, can't do chocolate. It gets on your hands too much.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit too hot. I'm choosing what I like in this category, and I'm going to go with
Mike
a
and Ike's?
Swedish fish
Okay, good.
as my pick. I want something gummy. I want something a little bit light. I've been known to down boxes of Mike and Ike's on streams and things like Dots and a bunch of other gummy candies. But for me, Swedish fish, even if it's one of those like small packs that you get at Halloween, I remember being a kid. It's around October. The newest Call of Duty's coming out. The newest Halo's coming out because it's right before Black Friday season. You still have some leftover candy. Popping over some Swedish fish, taking it back. The candy aisle is necessary when talking about a video game snack because it's really just a great extra thing to go in to have when you're getting some games in. Oh, and I have my last pick too now. Ooh. Ooh. There's a couple of ways I can go with this draft, and I don't want to throw the draft because like if I choose something with dust, it throws the draft.
I mean, I picked cashews, so
Yeah.
that kind of has some sort of
Yeah.
dust to it.
So I'm going to choose what I want. I'm going to choose my all-time favorite snack.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to choose the Flaming Hot Cheeto. Yeah. I love the Flaming Hot Cheeto so freaking much. I understand that you're nervous with me. I'm somebody that is a mature adult. I eat my Flaming Hot Cheetos with chopsticks.
No, you do
yes,
not.
I do. Yeah,
You're
I have a
full
pair
of
of chopsticks.
shit.
And Shane has caught me on our couch with our chopsticks. And he's like, hey, so where's my chopsticks for ramen? And I'm just tossing back Cheetos because I don't want the dust on my hands while I'm playing games. I've also used a fork before. If I'm playing games, I don't want the dust.
How do you stab into them?
No, I just scoop it a little bit. Just go in with a little scoop. And I
Fascinating.
remove the dust, but I get the flavor and I get the excitement of the Flaming Hot Cheeto. It's an amazing snack. I'm all about it. And it's my favorite snack of all time. I'd feel bad if I didn't have it at the very end. So yeah, a little pro tip for you. If you're a Takis person, if you're a Flaming Hot Cheetos person, chopsticks or even just using a fork to go and pick them up. It works very well.
Very demure, very mindful. Have
Yeah.
you seen this trend going around?
No.
Oh yeah, it's people. It's specifically that or whatever.
Oh,
I think
really?
where it originated somebody eating stuff with like Cheetos with chopsticks. Very demure, very mindful or whatever.
Connor, this podcast needs to end, but
Yeah.
also I want it to keep going because then we have to eat a hot pepper in like 10 fucking minutes.
I have a lot of directions to go with my final pick. With my final pick, I'm going to go with the Welch's Fruit Snacks.
Yep.
Just a classic, an absolute banger, a star on the team of video game snacks. Welch's Fruit Snacks with my final pick.
Not enough substance for me. Like one pack's not getting it done.
But
You
it's a
need.
nice little treat, my
Oh,
boy.
dude, it's so good. When we were streaming,
It's almost as
and
good as nuts in my mouth.
all right, this has been the cat. No, my honorable mentions. I had a zebra cake on there because once again,
Gross! What the fuck is wrong with
do
you?
you not like zebra cakes or a
No,
Twinkie?
I'm an
Like
adult.
something that's got a little bit of cream
I
inside.
had tortilla chips. I really do. I love bland things.
For me, the mini muffins. Have you ever had those like pack of mini
Yeah.
muffins? Those are a great gaming snack.
Let's get on your hands though.
Not
On the same way that a Cheeto does. I had edamame.
Whoa.
Underrated. But I've only had it like with gaming like a couple times.
I did have Pringles on my list. Pringles are a great chip that don't like
I had
not too much.
Fritos in the same way,
That's a great chip. It doesn't have a lot of dust. I did have Funyuns on there because I fuck with Funyuns. Okay, I ride with Funyuns.
I had a cheese stick. I love me a cheese stick, a mozzarella
the
cheese
cheese
stick.
stick is a goated. It's because it's a perfect thing. It's after school
I've been told
plus.
I'm a crazy person. I bite into the cheese stick. I never do the string. Never. It's worse.
Connor,
It's a better experience just biting into it.
so this might legitimately be the last casual gaming conversation ever. That is,
Bite
I
directly into it.
say it all the time, and Connor's wife agrees with me very much with the sentiment. Connor, great takes in art about art. Like Connor has great takes when it comes to art and movies and music. The dude sucks with his food takes.
I'm just right about the food takes.
You just said you bite into fucking cheesesteaks,
Yeah,
Connor.
it's the
You
right
bite
way to
into
do it. It's
cheesesteaks.
the right way to do it.
That's
It changes the whole dynamic if you string it. It's not as good.
It makes it more fun.
I'm not trying to have fun eating. I'm just trying to eat the food.
I understand, but you're gonna get the food note anyway, so might as well have fun with it.
No, it's a chore to do that. I want to
That's
open
a
this
chore?
bag.
That's a
it's
chore?
more of a chore than
Oh,
just biting
man.
into it.
You got a cheesesteak and you're waving it around like
No,
this and
I
then
don't
biting
do that.
it, and then biting it. That's wild.
I had grapes. If I'm going to do a fruit,
love grapes,
The
yeah.
green grape I think is excellent.
I had munchies. Like just if you had the first pick, I would try to combat your pretzel pick probably with munchies because I want a little bit of a pretzel in there. But like just is something that's a light. I'm not with munchies. I don't know if I've ever had a bag of munchies where I've done the hand thing. I'm always like in the car driving and like doing the little pour.
You're trying really hard not to be suggestive with your hand motions right now.
I'm pouring a munchies bag in my thing. Y'all need to relax. And then the whole candy aisle was like, I thought there was a chance you pick Swedish Fish or Lifesavers, and I was
Lifesavers are good.
Lifesavers are great gummies. My whole thing is it's
don't think a candy when it comes to
Sour Patch Kids was like it's I think a better candy, but I don't. It's the hands. I don't want it on my hands.
The gummy worms, the sour gummy worms. Laura
but you don't want those. I love those, but you don't want my hands. Yeah.
You just mentioned Sour Patch Kids. I'd rather have the gummy worms.
Connor, you want to know the best part of this is? What? The second that we finish this, we literally have to go so fast, tearing down set, getting milk ready, getting those hot peppers going.
It's gonna be so
You
fun.
have to review Hollow Knight. I have to review KH.
Can't wait.
By the way, I do because this goes up on Monday, and both of those videos will be
Thursday.
Thursday's one of them, not both of them. You're not getting my KH thing for at least a week.
Look forward to that.
Oh my god, guys! I'm like sweating. Like
I'm nervous, and I know how this feels.
I know it's like we're going and like about to stub our toe. Like it's like it's just gonna happen. Normally,
do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first still?
I want you to go first.
Okay,
I want to see how it's done.
Let's close it out then. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's casual gaming conversation. We'll catch you next week. Peace out.